Okay, here we go for another update. First, I'm just going to pan around and show you the work area outside. Wonderful weather, so we've been able to do some of the work outside. Of course, there's a lot of materials that are needed. Have some lumber left over, and under that white tarp is all the remnants of the rigid foam for the insulation. I still have a little more insulation to do, but I have to wait till another carpenter is going to work on the upper part inside. I'll show that in a minute, and I have to wait till he gets done furring it out, as he put it, which I'm not sure exactly what that means. It's a type of framing to bring the one part of the wall to be level with another area, and I'll finish the insulation there. And then I have the not very exciting task of figuring out what to do with the leftover rigid foam. It is really terribly messy to work with. I'm keeping it under this tarp just to kind of keep it together. We don't really have much rain forecasted, but just trying to keep it together is one of the tasks. And yesterday we did another bunch of the insulating of the ceiling, which was done a little bit differently. Instead of using the hot knife, my friend who was helping me wanted to cut it with his jigsaw. Now that made a terrible mess because unlike the hot knife, the jigsaw just shreds the path where it's cutting, and that makes all these little particles float. So I borrowed the shop vac of the neighbors across the street, and I was literally on the ground here. I had laid out this tarp right down in front of me, and I had the shop vac, and when he was cutting, I had the shop vac turned on, and I was trying to suck up as much of the little particles as I could. I got a few of them, and then when he took the piece in to put it into the ceiling, I just spent most of those several hours on my hands and knees down here on the tarp, sucking up as much of that little tiny white particles as I could so that they didn't get blown around and just deposited on the ground. And I did a fairly good job, but I am seeing still little bits of the styrofoam here on the ground, which is, you might not be able to see it here, but yeah, it's there. That kind of thing doesn't really absorb or disappear into the environment very easily. Okay, now let's go inside. And we did a lot of work in the last few days. I think the last time I made a video, I had painted the walls the first coat, and then I came back 2 times after the base coat was put on. And I don't know if you can see it, but I did this technique called sponging, where you take a slightly different color and you thin it with a glaze, and then you use a big sponge and lightly dapple it onto the paint, and then you let that dry, and then you go back and you do another slightly different. So I have 3 different paint tints, kind of all in the same family. And this is what I did to the walls that were already here established. Different lighting makes it look a little different. I'm going to turn around here, and then I'm going to go down here to the floor. I painted the floor a dark burgundy color, maroon or burgundy. It's pretty dirty right now because we've been working in here today. The bad story about the paint is that the clerk at Home Depot told me what kind of paint to get, and it turns out that it was the wrong kind of paint. And the way that I've been instructed to repair it is to sand it all off, which I've decided I'm not going to do. I even called the manufacturer of the paint, and they also said that it needed to be sanded off, that you couldn't just paint on top of it because the incorrect paint, which you're looking at, would flake up underneath and be messy anyway. So I decided that I was going to go with what I first wanted to do anyway, which is to put flooring down on top of it. So I'm setting that up to happen next week. Costs more, but can't live with this, and just have to correct the error. And I'm going to see if I can get some kind of reimbursement from Home Depot. One of the managers there did agree with me that it was unfair that I have to deal with this mess that was created by their store clerk, assuring me that they were directing me to the right paint. Okay, now we've looked at that floor long enough. Now I'm going to show you the most exciting. No, wait. I'm going to go up to the ceiling. I'm saving another exciting detail for later. So now you can see the ceiling is all insulated. Whoa, that was really hard. I tried doing a little bit of it myself about a week ago, and I just hated doing the up with all the angles and then having to cut out sections of the insulation to fit over the various wires and beams and things. So I got my friend to help me, and he just kind of took charge, and I did all the cleaning up, and we got it all in yesterday in about 3.5 hours. Okay, so now today what we did was we put in the counter. Now I'm going to lift this up. I got these kitchen cabinets. Sunshine is kind of shining on it a little weirdly. These kitchen cabinets I got at our restore, reused building materials. And I really like the rounded edges of the cabinetry. And so it's basically I'm going to turn these into shelves under here to store things, kitchen items. And they go together, so I have some drawers. And lots of cleaning to do still, tons of work to do. Now, this is going to be hard to show you because I have it covered up, but I'll just explain it as I go, and I'll show you again later. So you can see I've got fabric on top of this plywood and bricks on top of that, and the reason why is because we just cut this very high quality plywood for the countertop. And David Reeves cut it, put it on, and glued it on, and screwed it on. And so the bricks are there to kind of hold it down, give it a bunch of weight so that the glue really sets a nice seal. Then, I think I will try to show this to you. Well, I'll show you underneath first. Okay, again, this is all very messy looking, but I'm going to have water in a jug that's going to connect to the spigot up above so that I can hand pump water into my sink. And then this, in the drain of the sink, will drain into a bucket, not this one. I'll get a clean bucket. This bucket was just being used to sort of place things so I could figure out, how it was all going to fit and line up. And because the cabinets weren't high enough, David built, basically lifted it up by building a frame underneath. And so again, there's more stages of work to do on that. I'm not sure if I want to put a trim board down there. I'll probably put a backsplash or tile or something against the wall there underneath. And I wish I could show you the wood. It's just David picked out a really nice, nice grain without flaws. And once it's set, I will remove the bricks and I'll sand it, and then I'll put whatever the appropriate sealer or lacquer, I'm not sure what the term is. And you can't really see it right now, but we also got the sink in. So it's a really nice little deep stainless steel sink. And then behind over here, you can just barely see it. I have this, it's not even fixed in there yet, but it is the faucet with the hand pump. So pretty minimalist and rustic, and I can try this and decide if it's sufficient. This was like the least complicated way of having some amount of water without having to have plumbing going out of the building or coming in, And yes, I have to carry water, but I think that would be kind of interesting to give that a try. Plus, if you've seen my other videos, out here is the outdoor kitchen, which you can barely see. It's behind that tarp. And that does have a sink with running water, just cold running water. Now I'm going to step back and pan up and show you my two interesting old upper cabinets. And I found these also at the Restore recently. And at first I didn't know if I wanted to have cabinets. I thought maybe I would just have some shelves built here over the kitchen counter, and the cabinets sounded like they might be a little too big and bulky. But I just fell in love with these cabinets. They're very unusual with the glass and the sort of interesting shape. And then on the ends, these other little shelves. So I've got these. I painted them inside and out. And I think I might paint them again. It seems like that might be good, but I'll decide that later. Now, you might wonder, why did I put them at these different heights? Well, one reason is, for this one, I wanted there to be enough room from the sink area up above it, so that when I'm working in the sink, washing dishes and things, that it's not cramped under there. Then I thought, see, I'm going to have, it's not in here yet, but right over here, I'm going to have a little refrigerator that's short. It'll be about the height of the kitchen counter. And so since it was pretty short, I thought, well, the second cabinet to the left could be lower. And then I just immediately liked that idea. Part of what I like is that it kind of lifts the energy up. And as you can see, my little building, though very small, is very tall. And so since I'm going to have cabinets and I'm going to have storage underneath the loft, and I'm going to have a little table over here, and in the corner I'm going to have my little wood stove, that's all going to fill in a lot of the lower part, but there's still a lot of room up above. And so I think having these cabinets situated this way is just going to have this kind of lifting up quality. I can already feel it. And I just think they're so cute. So I'm thrilled with how this part is turning out. I wasn't sure, because I can only visualize so far. Sometimes you visualize something and then the real thing is just not, just has some issue or problem that you didn't expect. So that's my update. It was actually kind of a hard week or so because I was struggling with the insulation above and waiting on other people, their schedules, the people that can help me. I got the problem with the floor, which I spent so much time sanding and puttying, filling in cracks, drying it, sanding it, and then painting it, and painted it 2 times. So it was just kind of heartbreaking to have to find out that the paint was the wrong thing. But I think in the long run, I'm going to actually be pretty pleased because I'm going to have I don't even know what type of flooring it is. Technically, I don't know what the name is, but it'll have a wood look. It'll also be fairly dark. And I think in the long run, I'll be happier with that than with the painted floor. All right. Beautiful summer day out there. And thank you for letting me share with you my massive, fun little project.